please. Hello, лыжники.
Да, большое спасибо. У меня была 10-часовая
Thanks much.
версия. Я вжал ее в полчаса всего.
I had a 10-hour version of my presentation, so I had to kind of compress it to half an hour. I removed most of the things. Please feel free to ask questions to the Telegram bot, and I will answer the most interesting 3 questions.
10 лет спустя. Это контент
CISO 10 years later. So this content is addressed to myself and also addressed to the junior or starting CISOs. Let's decide who are we and why. And of course, disclosure. I began my career as CISO at 25, and 23 was when I became a director. I don't count them because I was preparing the IT infrastructure, and I was a director till my first mistake, and it was enough for me to make one mistake to stop being a director. And here's how it all started. 23, many people will just graduate. But actually, I was unable to get into the university, the legal, to study law. And I started with college, and it gave me the opportunity to work immediately. And of course, joining the company that I wanted to join was a hard thing to do. Took me 2 attempts. It was a Siberian Cement holding. If something is built in Siberia with concrete, then we definitely participate. So it's 20 years. The company's age is 20 years, and this was my 3rd workplace. I said I will not be static. I was able to cut to save on the budget, set 35% on the budget, and I optimized the printing, for example, and it paid for itself. Had some interesting results. And my boss became the cybersecurity director. He suggests that I move to cybersec. He gives me books, the articles, starts asking something from me. And I couldn't understand what he wanted from me. And in 1.5 months, he just leaves. So there's a team. There's me, just a year in the company. I have nowhere to run. I was putting 80 to 100 hours a week. And after 3 months, I'm becoming CISO. The panic level was, of course, at max. But I didn't lose it. And after some time, I came not with the problems and complaints, but with solutions and suggestions that were accepted. And here's how my work path started. It was 120 hours a day, and some would say this is impossible. People would leave the office, and I would say, "Thank you, yeah, God, now I can finally work for some time." Here's how a person working 120 hours a week look.
Что на сегодняшний день? Более 30 проектов по информационной
And what are my current achievements? More than 30 projects in cybersecurity, 20 plus in the infrastructure. There's a full-blown team, a lot of certifications and higher education. And I have experience working with all the rules, NGW, CM, and CR. So I'm an independent consultant and a lot of awards. But what I understood 10 years, what should we send to that guy 20 years ago? 3 basic things you should start with to be sure. of your success.
Не переключаемся. Метод никакого, господа, это не
The basics.
О чем я говорю?
What am I talking about? You cannot build cybersecurity without knowledge about the IT infrastructure. We need to know how it's built, sometimes even better than the IT people understand it. And the most important thing, of course, is the networks. I will start with Cisco and Linux because it's the best base, and then the local defense systems. And of course, if you look at Russian systems, we are oriented at the West, despite maybe being in front or getting in front of some foreign solutions. Best practices. If you are researching some product, best practices are your bro. This is something that the people have developed as part of hundreds of projects. In the Cisco times, when they were giving recommendations, if you are setting up the router, make sure you add no IP HTTP server command there. Last year, we had the vulnerability, and the first workaround that was there is no IP HTTP server. Many companies, big ones, knowing they have some gaps and vulnerabilities, still don't fix them. It's better not fix them. What are attacks? V3 matrix. Positive technologies have interpreted those into Russian, so it's very easy to work with. Data centers, how they work. Get that information from all the possible sources. If we know nothing about our infrastructure, it's high time for us to learn about it. And the audit. The audit questions can be split in two. I know the guy I'm sending this, so I know he will deal with that. We understand the network, the external perimeter. We need to understand how people access the internet, how the internet traffic comes to us. This is the most important first story. And the second one is IT infrastructure. How is patching organized? Backup. What is the state? We need to know how IT works and how the infrastructure works. And then we use scanners, we can compare the network with the IT infrastructure. We need to validate those assets. We need to understand compliance assets. And we can discuss unacceptable events. And there can be some other assets as part of that. And this is how we can come to the discussion about the tools and decide whether the infrastructure is ready. Like in my case, the infrastructure wasn't ready. We work together with IT to make them prepared. It's okay. NTA, to begin with, is the most convenient thing, even without any access to the network. Will allow you to enrich the data and detect all the issues. So if the audit was not well conducted, then we can put NTA somewhere. Don't do this. It's a bad idea. Do like this. It'll be okay. Positive technology designers, if you see this slide and would like to learn something, I'm here till the end of the week. Regulators are our bro, 100%. 10 years ago,
была такая квази-история.
We were purchasing, Russian solutions, then needing foreign solutions.
Базовую безопасность.
Currently, we can build cybersecurity very well using local solutions, and the laws help us a lot to guide the development. Internal wikis, a paper that lies somewhere in some folder about, implementing something is a terrible thing. If as part of a compliance you need to record something, put it into the wiki. That will enable your first vacation.
Обоснование должно стоить своих денег. Я сейчас приведу пример одного из проектов.
Business justification should cost its money. One of the projects that changed my perception within the management was following. There are two things lying at the basics of any business justification. If you come with some initiatives, if it's safe, if it can be optimized and useful for the business, then those projects are good for you. The more of those you have, the better. And the higher the probability everything will be fine. What is the example? One of the first examples. Modernizing the network. Between the organizations. We modernized the network, we ensured the reliability and safety of the internet access, and we were able to achieve positive revenue results because we removed the channels we didn't need. It highlights successful projects. What does it mean? You ran a successful project, a month has passed, 2 or 3, you get the results, and you say, here's what we've done. It can be a presentation, it can be a point raised at a meeting. But the more people know about your successes, the easier it will be for you to request extra resources. If you have those successful projects that were useful to the business, you do need to tell the business about them. Pilot projects. When should you do them? When should you run them? Always. The answer is always. If you do have a budget, don't overplay the pilot project, because I saw pilot projects lasting a year or 2. Confirming the budget every year is a tough thing. So try not to stop. If you pilot something, you're not protecting 100%. If you're in pilot phase for a year, then probably you don't need the solution. So when you don't have the budget, do it still. Because today you don't have a budget, tomorrow you'll have it. It's important to understand that the product, even in the pilot, is better than lack of that one. Despite it being working with not the whole infrastructure. Extended support. The market is growing, there's lack of people on both sides. If you can have extended support, get extended support. Otherwise, in an extended case, extended and serious incident, you will wait for a week, 2 or 3. Vendor support can have 100 cases, 300 cases. You will be in the end of the queue.
Проектами целимся специалистов, что имеется в виду? Если есть какой-то проект, какое-то внедрение, чего угодно,
if you have a project, if you are implementing some system, there should be a person inside working with it, taking the execution phase. I saw a lot of cases when something was implemented, there was no specialist to support it, and then the project is dead. You purchase some system, and then you just don't support it. Then you make contract with a specific SLA with a company. Pen test. Super important. Support the pen testers as much as you can. Ensure they find the maximum amount of vulnerabilities. And we prepare the management for that. Red team.
Значит, если
we defend the best we can,
на что-то не доработал, если нас не взломали, значит,
and if we were
должны
breached, then someone
навыки руководства.
didn't do their job. But if we were not, then someone also didn't do their job well. So
Ваше руководство — это ваш лучший союзник.
we should
Если вы это поймете, тем лучше.
ensure they can break into it.
Эффективно
Management is your best
тоже всего три вещи. Вы должны быть
ally. Three things.
Бывает такое,
Be
что есть
sure,
возможность общаться с
be
руководством, у кого-то и вообще нет. Если она у вас есть,
confident,
с ним взаимодействовать, но почему-то вас не слышат. Вот вы ходите, говорите, мне надо, а
because often you are not heard.
надо задаться вопросом, насколько
You
вы
don't
уверены.
get your money.
Если вы пришли сами, сомневаетесь в своих
An
словах,
important question is how confident are you?
на следующей неделе, через
You
месяц,
will be
можете
asked to
вообще не
come
приходить.
tomorrow, next week, in a month, and then not to come at
Если
all.
вы не можете обосновать, возможно, просто
Preparation.
не умеете обосновывать. В разных компаниях разные подходы.
If you cannot motivate, if you cannot justify something, then probably it's just lack of skill.
В идеале вы должны искать
Because
проекты,
ideally,
которые будут
you need to
и полезны, и
find
приносить экономическую
projects
эффективность, и
that would be useful and economically viable, and of course solve for the security questions.
Это было бы, возможно, очень увлекательно.
Being
но на
concise,
русском языке ничего не понятно.
that would be
Есть такая возможность.
super important
Вы
talking
приходите с проблемой, вы всегда
management.
предлагаете решение.
You come with a problem, you
Готовите
always
руководство,
suggest a solution,
готовите две
you
версии.
prepare some
Первая
material
версия
to the
на
management,
языке,
two
20
versions, one,
вторая ужатая,
20
конкретная
pages long,
Причем я обращаю внимание на
IT language, and another
когда
one,
я
just
готовлю
one
какие-то
pager,
материалы и готовлю
no
периодически, я всегда
difficult terms.
думаю о том, что
When I
кто-то
prepare
потом будет читать какой-то
some
ответ.
materials,
Возможно,
I'm
даже лучше, чем
thinking
я. То есть кто-то, кто может
that someone,
посмотреть,
probably better than me,
найти какие-то
would be
недостатки,
critically
чтобы
reviewing
разобраться
this.
и не писать всякую чепуху.
So this allows me
Если
to
приходите с тихим языком, вы
you know,
можете попасть в эту ситуацию.
get my act together and ensure that I'm not creating some bullshit.
Если вы оказались в этой ситуации, выхода из
If you are in this
ситуации
situation,
в рамках этой кампании у вас
when
уже не будет.
you are trying to explain to the manager that something isn't working, and there's a lot of issues and a lot of difficult words, and the manager doesn't understand you, you have lost.
Специалист попадает на руководящую должность, потому что он большой молодец.
It often happens that technical people become managers because they are good, competent, but they are unable to connect with
На сегодняшний день уже очень много
the
курсов, очень
management,
много книг.
expand your soft skills. There's a lot of books, a lot of, MBA, structured resources. There's a lot of content.
Учимся писать
Do
обязательно,
try to learn
основания,
to write,
лидерство,
to
уверенность,
create justifications, leadership and confidence,
проектное управление. Причем
negotiations, project management.
комплекс, это все работает только в комплексе. Если чего-то одно не хватает,
This works as a complex. If something is lagging
у
behind,
меня было два
that
конфуза
things will not work.
года.
I had
Я
two
поделюсь в двух словах.
issues
Первая была история.
to
О чем я хочу
fails
сказать? Важно
in the
понимать
last 2
контекст,
years.
важно понимать, кто перед
It's
вами,
important to
кто
understand the context, who is in front of you, who is after you. First scenario, I was presenting in a conference
12 часов плох,
talking about what is wrong with the 500-hour course,
присматривает за этим.
saying that,
И потом
federal regulator is not managing this well. And of course, the next presentation was by the regulator, starting his presentation from, you and you, come here and let's discuss. And of course, it was a nervous experience.
Значит, меня пригласили рассказать про проблемы импортозамещения.
There's another case when I talked about the problems with import substitution. I prepared well. I
В соседнем зале
explained a lot of issues. And in the nearby hall, Positive Technologies was presenting. So
интеграторы. В общем, там
I only saw partners, vendors, and integrators there.
Но в конечном итоге все в плюс, понимаете? То есть это опыт, любой опыт.
But it was a good experience. Even negative experience would be good for you. Managing the resources, budgeting, finance, networking.
Скажу еще про нетворкинг, что очень хорошо иметь контакты, друзей.
So networking-wise, it's great to have your friends and people in banking, in oil. Most probably they have experience doing something that you're planning to do quite a while ago.
Это то, что в начале трека меня сильно
Myths and
когда я начинал заниматься информационной безопасностью,
difficulties.
вообще все пространство.
DLP was
Я могу сказать следующее, что с DLP начинать не
everywhere.
Я иногда вижу эти
And nowadays I see that people starting with DLP to catch someone, to prove something, it's very hard to promote cybersecurity when you started with the economic security. Imagine you don't do cybersecurity, you have open doors everywhere, you gather all the information in one database, so it will be easy for the actors to actually grab that base and ensure they get everything. SOC, external SOC, should not be the thing you start with. For the same reason, if you don't have infrastructure defense built correctly, there's no monitoring. You will get the messages that you're hacked, and if you don't have segmentation, you will just be constantly running and quenching fires. It's important. There was a time we thought that cybersecurity should start with pen testing. If you have, read the books and audited your infrastructure, then you would know what the pen test finds. The perimeter is breached, and it was always pushed by the foreign vendors with the cloud, and you could access it from everywhere. And this paradigm worked. But currently in Russia, this is not so. Why did Positive Technologies create their firewall? 2,000 people would understand something. You are already breached. Yeah, it's a good myth. If you are not protected, if you don't have the infrastructure, then it doesn't matter. Scaring the management. I heard this like this. We will be breached and all the money will be gone. Okay, are you threatening me? You're fired. You're being investigated. It's very hard to scare your management and the non-confident person trying to say, yeah, we will be hacked. No, this is not a good approach. Learning all the way. Self-education, books, articles, super important. And we need to choose learning activities that substitute us. If you are just beginning, then start with our expert skill set and confirm them with certificates. If you are a manager, MBA, 500 hours course, yeah, should be an important thing. So the message to myself in the past, when the difficulties arise, you will be looking for solutions in the books and the articles on the internet, in talking to the colleagues and the conferences. You would wait, but you would wait that somebody experienced will come and tell you what to do. But there will not be any fixed answers. The experienced specialist that will come and tell you what to do is you yourself in 10 years. Here is the instruction on what to do and how to do it. Any questions?
Вопросов нет. Если имеются вопросы из зала, поднимите, пожалуйста, руку, мы подойдем, дадим вам микрофон.
There are no questions in the bot, so if you have any questions from the audience, please go ahead and ask them.
Раз. Vyacheslav?
Да.
Меня слышно?
Vyacheslav, do you hear me okay? Yes. Thank you for the presentation. You were mostly talking about things that should be done, but you did not give any cases or any time-eating activities that you should not participate in. Maybe some examples or some tasks that took a lot of your resources, and looking back, you would recommend to avoid them.
По большому счету, это были вот эти истории, которые я говорил, чего не надо делать, потому что мифы забирают очень много времени.
So,
Маркетинг,
two things you should not do.
безопасности очень сильно развита сегодня.
Don't believe the myths. The marketing is very important here. And depending on which player is dominating,
То есть были разные парадигмы, они сжирали время. Потому что, чтобы понять, стоит
different paradigms would take your time. So to understand whether it makes sense to pursue some myth or not takes a lot of your time. But the more experience you have, the more time you spend on the market, the easier it is to deprioritize things that are just marketing. So try to focus on which products are just about marketing and which ones deliver the value.
Вопросов нет.
Any other questions? No questions. Thank you very much, Vyacheslav. Thank you. Bye-bye.